The Golden State Warriors are once again set to play on Christmas Day, keeping alive one of the most consistent traditions in the NBA. For the 14th consecutive season, the league has placed Golden State on its marquee holiday schedule, a distinction that speaks volumes about the franchise's ongoing relevance at the highest level of professional basketball. This year, the Warriors will host the Denver Nuggets at Chase Center, with tip-off scheduled for 10:30 p.m. Eastern Time on ABC and ESPN. It is a matchup loaded with storylines, featuring two Western Conference powers that have clashed in memorable playoff battles in recent years. Hey, what's up, everyone? Before we jump into everything today, that like button right there is what decides if this video hits hundreds or thousands of people. 1 second is all it takes, but the impact on this channel is massive. Go ahead and hit that like button right now. Seriously, it's the simplest thing you can do, and honestly, the best way to back this content up, because every single like pushes us further. So hit it now. The Warriors' history on Christmas Day stretches back to 1948, when the franchise was still based in Philadelphia. Since that first holiday game, the team has appeared in 35 Christmas contests, compiling an overall record of 16 wins and 19 losses. That mark is modest on the surface, but the numbers tell only part of the story. The holiday games have consistently delivered some of the most dramatic moments in franchise history, and 2026 figures to be no different. Breaking down the record by era reveals some fascinating patterns. During the Philadelphia Warriors years, spanning from 1946 to 1962, the team went 5-5 on Christmas. The San Francisco Warriors era, from 1962 to 1971, produced a solid 3-1 record. Then came the longest drought in franchise history, from 1971 all the way through 2009. Before the Stephen Curry era began, the Warriors went a dismal 0-6 on Christmas Day. That stretch represented a period of organizational struggle and irrelevance that felt far removed from the winning culture the franchise would eventually build. Everything changed when Curry arrived. Since 2009, the Warriors have gone 8-7 on Christmas Day, a marked improvement that tracks closely with the team's overall rise to prominence. Interestingly, of those 8 wins in the Curry era, 3 came in games where Curry himself did not play. In the contest where Curry did suit up, his record stands at just 5-7 on the holiday, with a scoring average of 18.1 points per game, notably below his season-long career averages. Christmas Day, it seems, has not always been Curry's best stage, even as the team around him has frequently delivered. Last season's Christmas game stands as one of the most recent highlights of the franchise's holiday history. The Warriors defeated the Dallas Mavericks 126-116 in a performance that showcased Golden State's offensive depth. 7 players reached double figures in scoring that day, an impressive display of collective firepower. Curry led the team with 23 points, while Cooper Flagg, the highly touted young talent, paced all scorers with 27 points in what was a statement game for the rising star. The result extended the Warriors' record in recent holiday showings and gave the fan base plenty to feel confident about heading into the 2026 edition. Not every Christmas has gone so smoothly. The 2024 game against the Los Angeles Lakers ended in heartbreak. Curry delivered a spectacular individual performance, scoring 38 points, including a clutch three-pointer with 7 seconds remaining that tied the game at 113. It looked as though Golden State had stolen the contest, only for Austin Reeves to answer with a driving layup in the final second to give the Lakers a 115-113 victory. It was a kind of gut punch ending that Warriors fans will not soon forget. The 2023 Christmas matchup brought another tough result. The Denver Nuggets, the same opponent Golden State faces this year, defeated the Warriors 120-114. Jamal Murray delivered 28 points and Nikola Jokic contributed 26 points, 14 rebounds, and 8 assists in a dominant performance. Curry struggled on that occasion, connecting on just 7 of his 21 field goal attempts. The rematch on this year's holiday schedule adds another layer of narrative and gives Golden State an opportunity to settle the score against a familiar and formidable rival. Among the most memorable Christmas victories in franchise history, the 2021 game against the Phoenix Suns stands out for its drama. Both the Suns and Warriors entered that contest with the 2 best records in the entire NBA, making it a genuine battle for supremacy. Curry led the way with 33 points. But the hero of the night was forward Otto Porter Jr., who scored 7 consecutive points to close out the game and finished with 19 points on exceptional efficiency. The 2022 game against the Memphis Grizzlies was another notable win, with Golden State claiming a 123-109 victory without Curry in the lineup. Jordan Poole stepped up in his absence, pouring in 32 points to lead the defending champions. Going back further, the 2013 game against the Clippers produced one of the most memorable defensive plays in Warriors holiday history. With multiple Clippers opportunities to steal the lead in the final minute, it was a Thompson block of Chris Paul's floater with 1 second left that sealed a 105-103 Warriors win. An early glimpse of the defensive identity that would define Golden State's championship era. As the 2026 Christmas showdown approaches, the Warriors look to channel their best holiday performances against a Nuggets team anchored by Jokic. Chase Center will be packed, and Golden State has a chance to write another memorable chapter in its long Christmas Day tradition. It seems like it never ends. No matter what Stephen Curry accomplishes, no matter how many records he breaks or championships he delivers, there's always another analyst ready to argue that someone else could have done the same thing in his place. The latest installment would have become a recurring media ritual came courtesy of former NBA guard and podcast host Jeff Teague, who suggested this week that Damian Lillard, not Curry, could have led the Golden State Warriors to the same championship results during their dynasty years. The comment came during a discussion on Teague's podcast, where he was initially pushing back against an even more extreme take from former Warrior Mona Ellis. Ellis had recently made the extraordinary claim that if the Warriors had kept him instead of building around Curry, the franchise would have still won its 4 NBA titles. Teague correctly dismissed that notion as absurd, but then offered his own questionable alternative. Rather than simply defending Curry, Teague pivoted to suggesting that Lillard, plugged into the same system with the same supporting cast, probably would have produced the same championship results as the actual face of the franchise. The reaction among Warriors fans and basketball observers was swift. While Teague's take was far less inflammatory than Ellis's, it still landed as a form of disrespect that many felt Curry simply does not deserve at this stage of his career and legacy. To suggest that a player who has never advanced beyond the second round of the playoffs, something Lillard experienced for much of his career, before finally finding success with the Milwaukee Bucks, would have seamlessly replicated 4 championships with Golden State, misses the point of what made those Warriors teams so dominant. To understand why the comparison falls apart, it helps to examine what Curry actually brought to those championship teams beyond his historic shooting. Curry was uniquely malleable as a superstar. He was willing to share the ball, defer when necessary, and create advantages for teammates in ways that few elite scorers ever demonstrate. His off-ball movement, gravitational pull on defenses, and ability to operate both as the primary ball handler and as a secondary option made him the ideal centerpiece for the system head coach Steve Kerr designed. Teammates consistently elevated their games playing alongside him. Stars from around the league expressed genuine interest in teaming up with him. That kind of magnetic quality cannot simply be replaced by inserting another talented guard into the lineup. There is also the question of team building. The Warriors were not built in a vacuum. The franchise developed a specific identity around Curry's unique skill set, and the roster construction, personnel decisions, and coaching philosophy all evolved in direct response to what he could do. Suggesting that Lillard would have produced the same results assumes that every other variable, the roster, the coaching, the front office decisions, would have remained identical, which is a deeply flawed premise. As one analogy in basketball circles goes, it is a bit like arguing the 1996 Chicago Bulls would have won 6 championships with Reggie Miller instead of Michael Jordan. Maybe they win 1, maybe 2, but the Bulls never become the Bulls without Jordan at the foundation. Breaking down the specific championship years makes the case even clearer. In the 2014-15 season, when the Warriors claimed their first title of the modern era, Curry was operating at a level clearly superior to Lillard. The gap between them at that point was significant enough that swapping the two almost certainly would have cost Golden State that title. For the 2016-17 and 2017-18 championships, with Kevin Durant on the roster and the team operating at its peak, the argument for Lillard is slightly more defensible. The supporting cast was so elite that another quality point guard might have won a title or two in those specific circumstances. But the 2022 championship presents the strongest counterargument to Teague's claim. That Warriors team was far from the juggernaut of the Durant years. It was Curry's singular brilliance, his ability to mask the offensive limitations around him, his gravity that stretched defenses, his leadership that held a transitional roster together, that carried Golden State to the title. The notion that any other guard simply slides in and replicates that result ignores just how critical Curry's specific qualities were to that championship run. Curry has spent his entire career navigating this kind of undervaluation. The argument that his titles are somehow less legitimate because of the roster around him misunderstands how team sports work. Every champion benefits from strong teammates. What separates Curry is that he helped attract those teammates, helped develop them, and consistently elevated their performances. The disrespect at this point has become almost predictable, but that does not make it any less wrong. The Golden State Warriors have been among the most innovative franchises in NBA history, but a structural issue that has haunted head coach Steve Kerr in recent seasons may finally have an unconventional solution. Former Philadelphia 76ers and Brooklyn Nets star Ben Simmons is reportedly eyeing a return to the NBA, and according to multiple reports, the Warriors are among the teams potentially positioned to take a chance on the troubled but talented big man. If Golden State would assign Simmons, the move would be divisive, but it could directly address one of the most persistent criticisms of Kerr's coaching decisions in recent years. The frustration centers on the Warriors' chronic reliance on small lineups. Golden State built its dynasty around the revolutionary concept of small ball basketball, a style that emphasized pace, spacing, and skill over size and physicality. For a time, it was the future of the sport. But the NBA has evolved, and what was once a competitive advantage has increasingly become a liability. In today's league, teams are pairing length, versatility, and skill in ways that punish undersized rotations. The Warriors' habit of fielding 3 or even 4 guards simultaneously, players standing at 6 feet 3 inches or below, leaves them physically outmatched in key situations, particularly against physical front courts and in the playoffs when every possession is magnified. Draymond Green, the versatile forward who has been a defensive anchor for Golden State throughout its championship runs, has regularly been deployed at center in recent years. While Green's intelligence and passing make him an unconventional but effective center in certain matchups, asking a 6 feet 6 inches player to routinely guard opposing big men places real limitations on what the team can do defensively. The league has noticed, and opponents have increasingly attacked the Warriors' lack of traditional size as a primary game planning strategy. This is precisely where Simmons could change the equation. At 6 feet 10 inches with guard-level ball handling skills and passing vision, Simmons represents a rare physical profile that the Warriors currently lack in their rotation. During his peak years with the 76ers, Simmons was considered one of the most electrifying playmakers in the sport. His ability to push the pace in transition, initiate offense from the perimeter, and defend multiple positions made him a 3-time All-Star and earned him MVP consideration. He was the kind of player who forced offenses to make impossible choices, a creator who operated at full speed before opposing teams could get organized. Simmons has not been that player in recent seasons. His confidence collapsed publicly following a high-profile falling out with Philadelphia, and his subsequent time with the Brooklyn Nets and Los Angeles Clippers was disappointing by any measure. He averaged just 5 points in 22 minutes across 51 combined games during the 2024-25 season, raising serious questions about whether he retains the athleticism and mental fortitude to contribute at an NBA level. Those concerns are real and should not be minimized. However, recent reporting from ESPN's Mark J. Spears indicates that Simmons has been participating in basketball activities and that there are signs of physical recovery and renewed motivation. The Warriors, who recently signed veteran guard Gary Payton II, are still searching for ways to add meaningful size and versatility to their rotation, while Jimmy Butler continues to work back from injury. A low-risk signing of Simmons, likely on a minimum or near-minimum contract, would carry limited financial downside while offering potentially significant upside if he can recapture even a portion of his former game. The fit questions are legitimate. Having Simmons, Green, and Payton on the same roster raises obvious concerns about offensive spacing, given that none of them are reliable three-point shooters. But the practical solution is simpler than it might appear. Green, at 33 years old, should ideally be limited to around 25 minutes per game during the regular season to preserve his effectiveness for the postseason. A healthy and functional Simmons could fill the remaining minutes at the power forward and center positions, giving the team a legitimate 6 feet 10 inches initiator who reduces the need for those cramped guard-heavy lineups. The two players would not need to share the floor extensively, meaning their offensive limitations would not necessarily compound each other. The broader case of the gamble is rooted in where the Warriors stand as a franchise. Golden State is in a window where experimentation carries less risk than stagnation. The team needs to find answers to its size problem, and traditional free agency options at the forward and center positions often come with significant cost. Simmons, for all his baggage, represents a high-ceiling reclamation project at what would almost certainly be a bargain price. For Kerr and the Warriors, that may be exactly the kind of calculated risk worth taking heading into the 2026-27 season.